Um, and we're live. Okay, hey guys, it's Bobby Legs, and today we have another State of the Collection live stream, collection discussion, collection. We're going to talk to the enthusiast here, who is, some of you guys may know him. His name is Homer. Tennessee Mike is here. Hey, Tennessee Mike, how you doing?
Tennessee.
Yeah. So, Homer, thank you for joining us today. I'm really excited to have you on and discuss your collection. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, man. This is I can't even tell you. It's an honor. It really
Yeah,
is.
that's great. I mean, last week you did the podcast with Clayton.
Yeah.
This week you're doing the live stream with me. You're on a roll, and I think a lot of people really want to know or hear about your collection. Craig G, hey guys, how you doing, Craig?
Greg.
Speaking of Clayton, there he is. Hey,
There he
Clayton.
is.
Hey, Jeffrey. Good evening. And then Enrique. Hey, man. And guys, put in the comments. Let me know what you guys are wearing. We'd love to discuss that. So, speaking of what we're wearing, Homer, what do you got on wrist today?
Today I'm wearing a Speedmaster Sapphire Sandwich. The
Very
watch that
nice.
was supposed to end the hobby for me, and what really spurred it on.
So what do you mean by that? So, like, you were collecting, and then was it a grail, and you thought you were done?
I did. It was so before the Speedmaster, there was a lot of like Hamiltons and Seikos and long jeans, and I still get into Hamiltons and Seikos and long jeans. But
sure,
in my mind, once I reached the Speedmaster, that's it. I was done. I didn't need to go any further.
Yeah,
that was about 4 years ago. And well, here it is. I went further, as you're about to see.
Yeah, I totally get it, man. That I feel you. Speedmaster is such a great watch. And it for many people it would be the be all and end all, right? I mean, or at least part of a core collection that one can sit back and say, I'm good with this for now. I'm done. I can hang out with these watches. I got the Speedy, I got this, I got that, and that would be it. But not us, right?
Nope.
Not us.
No.
Awesome.
No, it became a doorway to another tier. That's really what it was.
Okay. All right. Good. I like that. Let's just hold that thought. We have Craig. He's got the blue titanium camo. I think a couple of you guys, Clayton as well. That just came in, right? Awesome. I'm wearing the since you have a Panerai. I don't want to spoil too much. I decided tonight I'm going to wear my Panerai Luminor. This was a watch that I bought off of a buddy of mine who was a watchmaker for Richemont at the time, and he worked on, Panerais and Cartiers and those watches. So, I didn't know much about watches at the time. I know a little bit, and I hung out with him all the time. Him and another guy who was also a watchmaker for Richemont. And this is when Panerai was hot. This is like 2006, 2007. And I had to have one. And he was selling his. And I was like, you know what? I'm buying it. And there's Random Rob. Hey, Random Rob. Random Rob's still wearing the Tudor BB41, one watch September, which I just can't do.
I can't do. God bless him. He's a stronger man than I am by a lot.
Awesome. All right. So now you're saying that the Omega was a gateway. Before all that, how did you get into watch collecting? Like, when did it spur? When did it happen for you?
All right. Well, so like I was telling Clayton last week, I've always worn watches since I can remember. Like you look at baby pictures and there's a Mickey Mouse watch, and when we would go shopping into the malls, my release was, my mother would drag us and she'd go do her clothes shopping, and I would go right to the watches and just check them out and look at them. Eventually got a job and started buying bought I think it was like a Pulsar, which lasted years.
Yeah.
Then get a little more money. I was like, and then I got into some Seikos. I had a Seiko Kinetic for a long time. But before all that, what really put me over the top was an Invicta, actually. It was a Pro Diver. And that was probably the first watch I bought with my own money. I knew it looked like a Rolex, but that's all I knew. At that time, I knew nothing about like movements or brands outside of the main brands, Rolex, Omega, and Breitling. So, then the internet comes along, start getting a little more knowledge.
Right.
And then the choices, choices and choices and choices. And then there's danger with choices because now there's a lot to pick from.
Right.
And then it just slowly, like a little snowball down a hill, started spiraling a little bit out of control. I ended up having like at one point almost 30.
Whoa. Right.
And then I learned about flipping. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Rob. Right.
Started selling them slowly but surely. And then 5 became 1 in the next level. So I went from like $200 watches, like Recraft Seikos, to Hamiltons.
Yeah.
Back in the, I used to be very active with the IWA Facebook group.
Okay.
And we would do like daily wristwatch checks and that. And it was all like, I had a couple of Hamiltons, I remember, Longines and things like that. And then, the goal was a Speedmaster. That was always the goal. Right. That was it. And I got there and I bought the Speedmaster. And then I realized, oh, this tier is nice too. So sell 5 or 6 more, be a little patient. And then, leads to now the order. I can't tell you because it's so many have come in and out. So many. So that was the first one at that tier. And as you'll see, it gets crazy a little.
Right. So do you still have any of those watches from the early days, or did you actually purge them when you moved to the next tier?
So the Invicta I still have. It's in a drawer, right? Yeah. It's there's no strap on it. I just have it there for sentimental reasons because that was kind of the one that started.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Most of the other watches have been flipped. The ones that haven't I've been giving them to either friends of mine. In fact, my first Seiko Turtle, the first one that came out it got to be like 4 or 5 years ago now. I gifted to a buddy of mine to try to get him into the hobby. Yeah. Because, this hobby is a little lonely without the internet.
Right.
So, and it worked. He's bought in a couple of watches from Clayton and Rob, Orients and whatnot.
Yeah.
And the rest, pretty much, I give to my stepson. And he has his own little watch box. And he's got about 9 in there. He doesn't wear them yet, but he will.
Right.
We'll get there.
Right.
So, it's funny too because his mom keeps telling me, she's like, "This is all you. I want no part of this." And I said to her, I was like, "Listen, if he gets into watches, he'll have no money for drugs, nothing like that. So we'll be all right." That's my goal. Get him into watches.
That's awesome. So I was going to ask you if your significant other, if she's supportive of the hobby or not, or does she just let you? Whatever makes you happy, she lets you.
Basically,
do. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. She doesn't understand it. She probably thinks I'm insane.
Yeah.
I know she's definitely like, with watches come straps, and the amount of watch straps I have is crazy.
Right.
And she thinks I have a problem there, and she's probably right. But for the most, she doesn't give me a hard time about it at all.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's nice that the way I look at it, and I'm trying to say this a little bit low so the wife doesn't hear me. The whole 9 out of 10 rule, right? You're given 9 to get that one, the 10th one. So you let them be the boss. You let them do what they do, the chores. As long as you can have that one moment where you're like, okay, all right, I'm gonna get a watch, and don't give me any slack because I gave you these 9 other things.
Yeah. Yeah, she's very good like that.
Awesome. All right, so let's say hello to a couple of guys before we jump into the collection. Hey, Desmond, how you doing? Marcus G, he's driving home, but he'll see us in a little bit. Okay. Desire 68, Frogman, Mike, how you doing, man? Winding Watches. Hey, Rob. Okay, and I have to put this one. Craig G loves my T-shirt, Iron Rain. Okay, so we have Iron Rain fans in the house. Awesome.
Number of the beast.
Right. Okay, so let's get started now. This collection, as Homer had sort of hinted, like the order, there is no order here. I kind of just tried to group them as I saw, would work with a workflow here. So I'm going to share my screen. Homer, let me know when you can see the PowerPoint.
Okie dokie.
Can you see it?
No, not yet.
Okay. One of these days, guys, I'm gonna get this. I promise. Oh, well, it probably helps that I have to hit the word share, the button share. So
There it is.
okay, here we go. Okay, so let's get this up. Okay, awesome. Jumping the gun here. Okay, so the first watch that I that you sent and is the Breitling chronometer aerospace. Really interesting watch, quartz watch, right?
Yeah. This has been the year of the quartz, by the way.
So this is a relatively new purchase.
Yes.
Okay.
Latest one, actually.
Latest one. So tell me about it. Why this watch?
So I've been looking at it for a few years. As so a couple of the ADs that I go to regularly, and I have good relationships with them. One in Queens and one here in Cranford.
Mm-hmm.
And the one in Cranford had this watch. Every time I go in, and I kept just looking at it. I looked at other Breitlings. I looked at Cults. Random Rob can tell you about the Cult experience.
Yeah.
And I would always put it on my wrist. And initially, I went, it's okay. It's a little too weird for me. And then the second time, and then the third. Then I started watching videos, and then, plus I've evolved with my appreciation and fondness for quartz.
Okay.
There was a time when I was a bit of a quartz snob, and then I grew out of that and became more open to it. And tried it on a couple times, and it really is comfortable. It is one of the most comfortable watches I've ever put on. It's ridiculously light. I love the look of the titanium, and it just grew on me. The more and more and more it grew on me, and then it becomes like an idea in your head, and the idea just kept growing and growing and growing. Opportunity came, and I went, you know what? Let's do this. Went and got it, put it on, and it's pretty much like it's. I don't know, because I have G-Shocks as well that I'll wear to go bike riding or play with the little guy. But sometimes, I put this on. It's not like a fancier G-Shock in any way, but it just, I don't know, something about it. When I want to feel a little different, a little out there, that's the one I put on.
I hear you, man. I mean, I love this watch. I've considered adding this watch to my collection as well, and I may do so, one day. I love the look. I love the 12, 3, 6, and 9, the oversized hour markers there. It's crazy because it is titanium and it's quartz. So this watch, it must feel like a feather on your wrist.
Oh, totally. So, and what's cool about the 12, 3, 6, 9, they're there when you need them, and they suddenly, just depending on how the light hits it, they become so bright, and then you turn your wrist about a quarter of an inch, and they're gone. It's just amazing how the light play on that watch is.
So what is it? Is it stainless steel then?
The markers, I believe so. I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
To be honest, I have no idea.
Right.
But they just play with light so beautifully.
Yeah.
It's a fun watch to look at, especially in the sun, and
that's a good looking watch. So just to give the guys like a frame of reference, what wrist size are you, Homer?
So roughly 7 1/4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically the same size as Rob's, because every time he's lent me in a watch and he has a size for his wrist, it fits me pretty well. So.
Gotcha. And so that Breitling, is that a 42 or a 44?
43.
Oh, 43. 40.
Yeah.
Split the uprights. Yeah, 43. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the lugs curve so beautiful, like and just hugs the wrist. It really does.
Gotcha. Awesome. Okay. So let's go moving on here, and let's share my screen again. And
quartz.
So we have a Grand Seiko quartz. So as you can see here, I'm starting to keep a theme here. We're going to knock off the quartz watches at first. And so I found this as a very interesting pick. Let me get here the full size. So what attracted you? We're going to see a couple more Grand Seikos in your collection. It almost seemed like you're a big Grand Seiko guy. Is that the case? Or you're a big fan? Okay.
I am.
So was this your first one, or?
No, not at all. I used to have the GMT quartz
Mm-hmm.
about a year ago, and that one wore a little too small for me.
Gotcha.
Loved it, but just wore a little too small.
Is that
Ended
the
up
one with
flipping that.
the very explorer looking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, exactly. The little Explorer too.
Yeah.
And I liked it. Wore too small. I
Yeah.
love Grand Seiko. Love everything they represent. Love everything they stand for. Appreciate the craftsmanship.
Yeah.
If you have a loop, they're the perfect watch to stare under a loop.
Mm-hmm.
There's one in particular we're going to talk about later on that
Right.
holds true.
Yeah.
But what's great about this Grand Seiko, I love the case shape. Adam from 1010 Talk actually it showed me that watch. We were talking, and he saw it, and he sent me a photo, and I was like, "Wow, that looks cool." Again, talked to the to my AD. He's like, "Oh, I'll see if I can get it for you." I was like, "All right, whatever, no hurry."
Yeah.
One day he calls me up and he says, I got it in. If you want to take a look." Went over, got a cup of coffee. We showed it to me, and it was just like I was like, "Now that's my dressy quartz." Because in my head, you need mechanical, dressy, sporty type watches. You also need quartz versions of those too. And
Yeah.
this one is like if I go to work and I just need to grab and go, I'll wear it. I was wearing it the other day actually. The only thing is, those who know me, I'm a little bit of a scratch monster,
Yeah.
and I'm this one I baby because it's just so shiny and polishy, and but just love the design. Absolutely love the design.
And it came in that with that leather strap.
No, that's not a leather strap. Actually, that
Oh,
is a
really?
Christopher Ward rubber strap.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I took
interesting.
the advice of Rob on one of his episodes that he talked about Christopher Ward rubber straps. They do sell them separately, and they are fantastic. And it's a quick release. In fact, I've put so many straps on that watch, it's not even funny. The
Wow.
other nice thing is, unlike other Grand Seikos, this is 20 millimeters. So if you like straps, it's a
Yeah.
great watch.
Excellent. So now I want to briefly get a little sidetracked. So you've mentioned a couple of times that you have a couple of dealers that authorized dealers that you work with. How often? I mean, are you incommunicado with them pretty often? It seems like you're maintaining a relationship here
Oh
with
yeah,
them.
both of them. So the one guy deals with a lot of pre-owned stuff. So sometimes he'll get something. He had a Vacheron Constantin Generation 2 one day, chronograph blue. And he called me and he's like, "Look, I got a guy. He's selling it." He's like, and I said, "I was like, that's way out of my price range." He's like, "No, I'm not calling you to sell you it. I'm calling to let you know if you want to come in and just put it on your wrist for a little bit."
Yeah.
So, I'll come in, and again, if it's slow enough and, there's no, there's not many customers and whatnot, and he's not busy, we'll sit down, we'll talk, have a cup of coffee, and he gets something nice. I get to go in and play with it for a little bit,
Right.
So yeah, I definitely like Christmas cards come
Oh,
and
wow.
go. It's the whole nine. They've become almost watch therapists. And I'll tell you, this is how you know a good AD is when they talk you out of what they feel might be a mistake, even though it means a sale. And both have done that for me.
Wow.
And looking
Wow.
back, I appreciated it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Well, but they know that you know that, right? They
yeah,
know that
they know me
yeah,
because
yeah,
we've interacted so much, and they know my collection for the most part.
yeah.
Um, and they know because they see what I gravitate towards and the questions I ask, and it's they understand. And sometimes I'll want something, but for the wrong reason, for the hype per se.
Right.
I mean, I've made that mistake many times,
Yeah, of
and both
course.
of them at occasion just said, do you really want to, think about it? Just walk away, think about it, spend a couple of days, and if you still want it, it's still here. But
Yeah.
just think about it instead of just pushing me to buying it.
And you could only have that kind of relationship with an AD if you have a relationship with an AD. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? So I think
yeah.
that's maybe the moral of the story here, and the last few minutes is that if you can maintain a relationship with AD, now that means that you have to buy watches from them, right?
Yes.
But of course, but they can help you talk you out of some stuff, out of mistakes. If they're
Mm-hmm.
truly, honestly want to keep you as a reoccurring customer too.
Right.
So yeah, that's
Well, like they
good to know.
say, the duality of nature. For every benefit, there's a cost. So
Yeah. Absolutely. There you go. All right.
Yeah.
So Homer, let's jump to the next one here. Again, sharing my screen. Okay. And we have the Seiko. Oh, I gotta figure out a better way. Sorry, guys. Seiko spring drive. Now you can see that on my screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I like about this one, and before you jump in, guys, look at this over here. Homer wears his watches, man. I mean, is that you putting some work into this watch, or is that
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's awesome. Please tell me what drew you to this watch.
I wear that goes to work with me all the time. I wear it when I
Yes.
teach, and my arm. So when I get into discussions with the kids, like I'm very, as you can tell right now, my hands are always moving. I'm banging them into things,
Yeah.
you know, and I always wear my watch on my left hand. It's my dominant hand, so they're going to take abuse.
Right.
You're going to take it. Actually, the marks on that one, a student pointed it out to me because I actually got him into watches. And sometimes, like when he had an SKX,
Yeah.
and I saw that on his wrist, and I'm like, and I pulled him aside. I'm like, you know about watches? He's like, yeah. He's like SKX. He's like, oh, you know this? I was like, yeah. And then he looked at my wrist and he saw the Grand Seiko. He's like, oh wow. I'm like, so just for fun during the class, I was like, here, give me yours. I'll give you mine. Give it back to me at the end of the class. And now me and that kid years later have spoken. Or, he's collecting now also. So it's cool. But yeah, I wear that all the time. All the time.
Now, do you know the model number? This is not the This is not the white snowflake. I couldn't tell with the
no, it's
angle.
the Kiraziri.
Yeah,
I always mispronounce the dial. It was a limited edition to the U.S. only, something like 550 something pieces.
Oh wow.
I got lucky. An online dealer had it, and he was part of a Facebook chat. And again, sometimes these things just happen to fall at the right time. And that's another thing with this hobby. Patience is key. And I had to flipped a few watches and had some cash on reserve. And I'm like, he worked that out with me and allowed me to make a couple payments and whatnot, and became mine because that dial is stunning.
So this is one of these other watches you were saying earlier that you with a loop you like to stare at this dial. Obviously this is going to be the one. Yeah. So with the spring drive, it's a very divisive movement, right? I mean, like I find like that people either love it or they hate it. So why do you love? Was it the spring drive that attracted you to the watch? Was it the dial? Like, what was it about this?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So the dial obviously is. I was also a fan of the snowflake, and if I didn't get this, eventually I would probably have ended up with a snowflake at some point. In my mind, that's I would have owned the spring drive.
Right.
So besides the dial, besides the finishing, all that stuff, what I love about spring drive is one, it's innovative, and in the watch world, like we were talking with Clayton about, the next icon, and there's arguments to be made that there are no icons because there's no innovation. Well, the spring drive is innovation,
right?
And like I said, I've evolved a lot with my love-hate relationship with quartz, and this is a nice happy medium because you still have the mechanical, but you still have the accuracy of the quartz and all the benefits that gives you. The sweep on the second hands, again, if you spend time, if you just, you either wear your watches and don't pay attention to them, or you wear your watches and then when you have alone time, you take a loop out and you start staring at them while watching television. That's what I do because, I have a problem.
Yeah, no, I do the same.
But yeah, to watch that sweep so smooth, it is like it just relaxes me actually.
Yeah.
So I like the technology. It's an accurate, ridiculously accurate movement. I like what it represents in the watch world. The fact that Seiko, say what you will, they aspire to everybody, whether you have $100 budget or a $10,000 budget, and they innovate. They really do. The spring drive is an example of that. So the technology behind it, what the technology represents. The dial, that dial is just unique in so many ways, and it's so beautiful to look at. I tried it when I was taking photos of it for you. I was trying to find, like, because again, like some watches, you just turn your wrist a little bit and the whole mood changes. And that watch specifically does that. Like I'll go outside, have a cup of coffee in the sun, and just look at my wrist and just keep turning it. And then the neighbors think I'm nuts, but that's okay.
Yeah. Kevin Essa, the Kirazuri is one of the most sought after GS models. Great pickup. Yeah, I mean
Thank you.
That is a beautiful dial, man.
Yeah, I got lucky with that one.
So now another thing I hear people say about Grand Seiko is they talk about their bracelets as not being the greatest. Have you found that to be the case?
Well, my only issue with the bracelet is the clasp, that there's no adjustability.
Right.
Although they've fixed that now, because these newer models that just released a 40 millimeter GMT watch that they just released literally maybe a month ago, I saw that their clasp does have micro adjustments, so that they're paying attention.
Right.
But that's the only issue I have with it. Everything else, I think the bracelet is beautiful. The finishing is nice.
Yeah.
I think that, but the clasp, I can see why people have a problem with that.
Yeah, and even so, like, I mean, I think these Grand Seikos look even great on the leather strap, and like, you know what I mean? Like, I could deal, look, I mean, we want to get it as best a fit possible. We all do with a bracelet. But if that doesn't work out, you can always put a nice, beautiful leather strap on this, or even, I wouldn't say a NATO, but maybe some sort of fabric strap, whatever you desire. Maybe a NATO if you wanted to.
You know what I had on that once?
What's that?
People are probably gonna start chatting away, but I had a Barden Elite rubber strap on it.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Yeah.
It was. I was like, let me try that, see what it looks like. I had a gray one.
Yeah.
I thought it looked nice. And I was going to the pool with my stepson, and I didn't feel like taking it off, and I was like, probably where a couple of marks came from too.
But that's great. I love it. I love that your watches look like they've been worn. that's why we buy them, right? I mean, I know we buy them for other reasons, but at the end of the day, it's a tool. It's something that's supposed to, we can't necessarily baby. Even though I know I baby my watches a little bit, but they have marks on them, and it's a badge of honor, especially when you put them there yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So okay, so let's jump into the next one here. Boom, boom, and so the Seiko. I believe it's the SLA033, the reissue of the 6105. So tell me about this guy.
Well, I love the 6105. I actually got to, again, Adam, take 1010 Talk. We would meet up a lot in the city, and he would bring watches. I would bring watches. He actually brought an original 6105 years ago, put it on the wrist, and absolutely loved the way it felt. And I like the Turtle, the new re-edition of, not the one that just came out, although we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
The SRP 777s, I like those too, but that one, just something about its chunky nature. And I'm a little chunky too, so it fits. Then I realized the Willard connection, and I love the movie Apocalypse Now, and I was like, okay. And then when this came out, this is actually the watch that Bruce Williams reviewed.
Okay.
And then when he said he was flipping it, I messaged him right away. I'm like, whatever it takes, because I figured limited edition. I gotta tell you, this was the one watch that I thought was going to just gain value and blow up, but it didn't. Just because of the whole Willard thing, and I saw what happened with the 62 Moss reissue they did the year before, the SLA 017, I think it was, and but that's okay though, because it worked in my favor, because it was relatively affordable. And I was actually thinking about flipping it to get the new one that came out on bracelet. And then I tried the new one out at the AD, and it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Great watch. And I might own it too, but not to replace this.
Gotcha.
So it's something about the proportions of this watch, the chunky case with the 19 millimeter lugs, that just, I don't know. I really enjoy wearing that.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely got its own look. It's unmistakable. And it looks like a really fun one shown. Now, going back, you mentioned meeting up with Adam from 1010 Talk a couple times today, and when I was listening to the podcast that you did with Clayton, before everything that was going on in the world that's happened in the last few months, you were meeting up with people. You were attending Red Bar events. Tell me a little bit about it. When did you make that first plunge into that? Because I find that interesting. I've been wanting to do that. There's nobody around me. I feel like there's nobody around me in Western Jersey who likes watches. I don't know. How did you get into that?
We're going to change that after this.
Yeah,
now that I know that you're in Jersey, we're going to change that.
You got
it. So what happened was, again, IWA. This was when Adam was doing Properly Wound with I forget his name now. Oh, forgive me. Who was his partners?
Yeah, I forget his name. It was like a kid.
Yeah. Oh, I should, because I still watch the channel.
I'm sure somebody in the comments will put it. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Right. So we were part of a Zodiac tour watch. Again, with the IW, I think it was the IWA group. And I didn't, I knew them from the YouTube that I used to watch, but I didn't realize that, like he was part of the group or anything. So I had the watch, and he was the next one to get the watch. So I just messaged him like, look, you're in New York. I work in New York. So instead of me mailing it to you, why don't we just meet up, have a cup of coffee, and I'll just give you the watch. He's like, yeah, sure. And I met him at a coffee shop, and like I was a little bit of, I was a little starstruck. I was like, oh my God, you're that YouTube dude. And he's like, yeah. Well, we started talking, and his knowledge, by the way, on vintage Seikos and Seiko in general is insane.
Really?
Like, my God. Like, I got to commend a lot of the YouTubers out there, like Adam and Rob and Bruce. The knowledge they have is wow. And we started talking, and then Adam showed up because they were meeting up, and then I started talking with Adam. And Adam and I just kept the friendship ever since then. A lot of these, now that I'm reflecting on this stuff, a lot of the watches that I'm showing you, Adam had a little hand in, kind of spurring me on a little bit, or at least introducing me to the watch, and me going,
right.
And then Adam, got me involved with a couple of watch groups in the city, and made some friendships that way. And there's a lot of great people in this hobby.
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
Clayton and I were talking about.
Patrick. That's the guy's name.
That's it. Patrick Marlette.
Thanks, Kevin and Black Woman Gamer for throwing that in there. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And
sorry, Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I've been out here now where I live in West Jersey, close to the PA border, Eastern PA, close to there, and looking for like Red Bar events, and there's really not much going on around here. I've sort of got my neighbor into watches. And he's sort of gotten his father into watches, but no place where we can, a group to meet up with a bunch of guys or gals and try each other's watches and that kind of stuff. So unfortunately, I mean, maybe I'm not looking hard enough, but maybe in the area where I'm at, it's it's farm country around here, man, and so not that farmers can't have watches, but there's just not a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
So, but we've talked. I know we have a connection to the town that you're in right now, and whenever the dust settles of what's going on, we're definitely got to get together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's keep on going. Got a few more, and I love that you have this watch. I love this watch.
Yeah.
So what I heard a little bit about this story on I believe you spoke about it with Clayton on his podcast. Tell us about this. I think you're a little bit under the influence, weren't you?
Oh well, the Tourneau day. So a buddy of mine and I were just going to the boutiques really in New York, and it started downpouring. So Tourneau was like right around the corner. We ran in. And they were having an event. Little did we know, and they were promoting something. But there was something, and then there was a scotch.
Yeah.
So 3 or 4 glasses in, I literally gave him my wallet, and one of the talking with the people behind the counter and whatnot, and somebody was looking at the Cartier Santos XL.
Yeah.
And after he was done looking at it, like I was just like, wow, that thing looked awesome.
Yeah.
And I put it on my wrist. And I gave my wallet to my buddy, so I don't do anything dumb. But I really, really, really enjoyed putting that on my wrist. Like, and one of the other things that attracts me to watches is history.
Yeah,
the Speedmaster and the history that represents. And the Santos represents an incredible amount of history. And then they released this one with the bracelet, with the interchangeable link system that is really easy. Oh, my God. Like, changing the links, changing the bracelet is so. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Because
Yeah.
Rob will tell you I struggle with that stuff.
Yeah.
But got it on the bracelet and kept going in and out of Tourneau, trying to find a deal. Couldn't find a deal, and just again, if you flip a few, build up a little cash, a little on the side, and one day I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna see what I can see if I can work out a deal with the ADs, but they couldn't get their hands on it. I just went to Tourneau again and ended up getting this one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the heck, and love it absolutely. And I got to tell you, it's more versatile than people think.
Oh, I buy that.
I'll wear that one with jeans and a t-shirt. I'll wear it with a suit. I'll wear it with a sweater. It's probably in the fall and the spring and the winter. I'll wear it a lot more. I can enjoy wearing it.
Yeah, I have this sort of like fantasy in my head that down the road a year or two, getting a Cartier Santos and a tank or I don't know. Do they make Santos for women, or they make
they make a smaller?
They make a small. So I have this fantasy of getting this one and a woman's size one for my wife, and having matching Cartier Santos. And then the other day when I brought it up to her, she's like, "Oh yeah, I don't like that watch." I'm like, kind of ruined my face.
Oh no.
Well, my wife, she's not into the watches as much.
No, mine is no. Same here. I tried to use that too to maybe a Rolex.
Yeah.
Get her a little date just. I get a big date just.
Yeah. Funny enough is she loves G-Shock squares. They're just slightly too big for her. She doesn't like the baby G's or the girly watches. She's not into that. But she would love that new titanium G-Shock square if it was maybe a 34, but 10 millimeters less than it is now, whatever.
Right.
But unfortunately, they don't make them. But I love that you have this watch in your collection, man. That is a super watch.
Yeah. It's interesting. Being in New York, and we have 4 distinct seasons, I find that I also am a seasonal watch buyer. Like you have, in my mind, I have my summer watches that I wear more in the summer than my fall watches. Because now, as I'm looking at the Cartier, in the summer I barely wear it, but when the fall comes, it's I'll put that on my wrist. So I don't know if other people think like that, or is it just me?
No, of course. I mean, I think I'm gonna watch and what to wear with them seasonally. Absolutely. Black Woman Gamer is asking, does the Santos have to use Cartier straps? Beautiful watch.
I believe so. I haven't really explored the strap world of Cartier yet, and at least finding guys that can make it. Just because of the way the lug system is designed, I believe you have to go that way. But I don't know for sure. Yeah.
And Kevin's saying, I guess he's saying that the Cartier Santos will go good with Bobby's lawnmower. Yeah. So I don't know how Kevin knows that. Maybe he. I don't know. But I have a lawnmower. I have a brush mower. I live on 3 acres, and I do a lot of yard work. And I usually wear my G-Shocks, but today I was chainsawing with my Tudor Black Bay 58.
Nice.
I didn't realize I had it on.
Nice.
Random Rob, Homer is Batman. Okay.
Oh, here we go. Bruce Wayne, not Batman.
Awesome. Okay, so let's move on to the next one here. Hold on one second. Let's hide that. And do I have that ready? Here we go. So now you go from some a traditional dive watch, or sort of traditional dive watch looking with the turtle, the Captain Willard, and you get I see this in your collection, and look, I love Nomos, but this is pretty crazy, man. Your taste really range, man.
Yeah, it's a problem.
So tell me about this one. Tell me how you found this one and how you got into this one.
Well, so this also was again, if you guys remember Bruce's review,
yeah.
Well, that's the watch again. I've always liked Nomos.
Mm-hmm.
The clubs were a little too small for me.
Yeah.
And then they made the 42. and I thought that was going to wear a little too big. But the nice thing about living in New York, like if you really want to go try on a watch, there are plenty of places, well, pre-COVID anyway, where you can just boutiques. So you had London Jewelers, you had all these places that you can go to. And I went to, I think it was London Jewelers on my way home from work. And I was like, oh, they have it in the window. Let me try it on. And I tried it on, and it actually, for a larger watch, it wore really great. And blown away by the fact that that thing is like 999 feet water resistance.
Yeah,
as they say
crazy.
on the dial.
Yeah,
and it's so thin. It is so
really.
thin.
Yeah, I guess I never even thought about looking at the. I mean, I would assume it'd be just a slightly thicker watch, even though it doesn't look so
Nope.
thick on pictures. I just figured, well, but it's a big watch. Maybe it's actually playing with my eyes a little bit. But it's a thin watch, you're saying, or thinner?
Yeah, very thin. I want to say around 10 millimeters thin, maybe no more than 12, but maybe
Wow.
as low as 10.
Wow.
But
Well,
it
even
wears
12 would
great
be
under a
amazing.
cuff.
Yeah.
And again, bracelet system that works beautifully. Quick release. Also quite the strap monster. I put it on a lot of different straps. And I think because it's a 42 millimeter and it's all dial, so it's going to wear a little bigger, the 20 millimeter lug width really helps dial it in a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I could see this on a NATO. I could see it on a rubber strap.
I've done all of it.
Yeah. Now, that bracelet looks super, super interesting. I know you say it's easy to switch out in and out, but I mean, that is definitely an interesting look on that bracelet. How was that something that sold you initially, or you had to grow to like it, or?
No, that was actually what put me over the top. It was the bracelet.
Wow.
Because it gave off such a vintage 70s vibe that I gravitate towards that. And that was it. That was like, oh, with that bracelet, it's perfect. But ironically though, I've changed it out of the bracelet onto so many different. It's a bit of a strap monster. It really is.
Yeah.
But that bracelet is awesome.
No, that looks awesome. Is Homer buying all of Bruce? So Kevin S is saying, is Homer buying all of Bruce Williams' flipped watches? It certainly seems that way.
A few. A few. Well, he sold them all now, so forget it.
Yeah, I know.
He cut me off.
He's selling it. Did he sell? I mean, I know he was going to keep.
I think he's done. I think he's pretty much now saving up for the Grail.
So is he sticking with the overseas, or is he going AP? I think he was going back and forth, right?
Yeah. I mean, when things start to open up again and he's going to probably make a trip to an AD and try him on and see where it takes him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, either one he picks, I mean, it's going to be a home run.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That blue overseas is beautiful.
Yeah. Kevin, Homer, what is the next watch on your radar? Hold that thought, Kevin and Homer. We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Let's just finish here. We have a few more watches. Okay, so now we're done. Now we're getting something that's more. I wouldn't say. Well, I guess more mainstream. I don't know. With your collection here, I mean, I was waiting to see the Rolex, and here it is. And this is the 39, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
And so tell me about this one.
Well, again, here's where it helps to have to know an AD.
Yeah.
So the guys over here in Cranford, basically, like I asked them if they had an Explorer. They didn't, but they said they're due to get one.
Okay.
Oh, okay. And I flipped a bunch of watches. I had a Omega Globemaster, and I flipped that. And I actually kind of regret that one too.
That might be. I love the Globemaster.
But saved up cash, and it was a good thing that it took them a few months to get it because it gave me an opportunity to constantly save and save and save. Then I had the cash, had opportunities to buy used ones, but the price between the used and the new in this one wasn't that different.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really worth it for me anyway. And I wanted the new experience, and just like the Speedmaster became the gateway. Well, now the Rolex potentially might be opening up another gateway, although my salary is kind of deterring that from happening, which might not be a bad thing. But always loved this watch. Always. Like this is another one of those watches that I've been looking at since I can remember.
Yeah, it's a classic.
To me, it's like the perfect, most versatile timepiece you can have. And then they gave me the call, and I ran in, and it was on my wrist. And as you can see, I wear the heck out of that thing too.
So, so I just want to go back. So you flipped the Globe Master. I think, Homer, we're gonna have to do another stream on watches that you flipped.
Oh God, I got to go through the camera roll because I don't remember all of them.
because you're wearing a Speedmaster that you didn't tell me that you had, and now you have a Globe Master that you flipped to get to the Explorer. I'm like, what else does he have? Okay, all right, don't answer that because I may have to have you on another time just to do that, man. Kevin, the hits keep on coming in the collection. Absolutely.
Thank you.
And let's go to speaking of hits, let's go to the next one. Okay, hold on. And this is a watch that I really love, and I'm into German watches. I love Zen. I have an 856 UTC. Earlier this year, when they came out with this limited edition, I don't know I don't know why I didn't buy it. I wanted it. I thought maybe I had a little bit more time, and then all of a sudden, it is done, and they're not, quote unquote, making these again. And here you are, and you have one. Now? Tell me, is this Random Rob's one? Did you buy this from Random? Okay.
No, but this is Random Rob's fault. It's not his, but it's his fault. Because I didn't know this watch even existed until in the message group, like he's part of. I think he ordered it right away.
Right.
And and I'm like, oh, you got a blue 104, because I know they make a blue 104,
right?
But I didn't know they made that blue. And then, in fact, I remember I was teaching a class, and then class ended, and then I looked at my phone. Of course, 57 messages go through. I was like, wow, and that was one of them. And then I immediately just jumped on Watch Buys. I think that they're the authorized Zen dealers, and I jumped on it. Now, why? Well, that's part of the reason why it's Rob's fault. Also, I had a Zen 104 that I bought off of his Sunday sales a few weeks prior to that.
Okay.
The black dial and it came with the leather strap, right, and the bracelet. And I flipped that one to fund this one, but I kept the bracelet.
Okay.
And I'm glad I did. Although the class, that's its biggest downfall is the class. But
but what a good looking watch, man. I mean, I love that dial. I love that patina hour markers, the numbers. Little bummed that the patina didn't. I mean, they didn't do the same thing with the hour indices on the bezel. I think, right? It's a different, but whatever. I think overall, I really, blues. I'm a sucker for blue dials and blue.
So am I.
And so this is one that got away from me. And right now, when you go, and look at a secondary market, I mean, the prices, what they're asking for is ridiculous. So, hopefully that'll come down, or Zin, puts out another limited edition of the 104 that I like better. Because that's also possible.
Listen, I thought the green was cool. Then this came up. So
yeah, absolutely. That's a cool thing about Zin. Zin, they hear their, people like the 104, they like the limited edition releases, and then they're willing to, pick a couple of their models like the 104 and keep on doing limited edition releases, and they're all hits. They're all hits. One of my favorite brands, and I love
mine
this
too,
watch.
actually. And there are other lines like the U50 is gorgeous.
Yeah.
So if you're a fan of the U1, but it was a little too big, the U50 is very tempting.
I gotta, and it's just, and I can't, next time when the world goes back to normal and Watch Buys does one of their road shows, I went to the one in New York City. If they come back again, I'll definitely hit you up, and maybe we can meet with my buddy Ryan. We can go. I want to try one of these U50s because looking at the specs, it's thinner than the Black Bay 58.
Oh wow!
So
I did not know that.
Yeah, so it's 41 mils. I believe it's 41 mils. But it's like it's thinner. The Black Bay 58 is at 11.9, and I think the U1 is at 11 or just under. So I got to see that I got to put that on and try that. For sure.
Yeah. Definitely.
What is Random Rob? It all ties in with the white trim on the hands. Okay, so I guess he's talking about the coloring, the different color.
Well, the irony here is I'm colorblind, so
Okay.
that doesn't bother me as much. But something
Right.
about blue dials,
Yeah.
just oof.
Yeah.
So like the
I'm with you.
matchings, that goes over my head a lot of times. In fact, I usually ask for Rob's advice when it comes to stuff like that. But but blue dials for whatever reason, I can't explain it. But that and anthracite.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. Okay, so the final
Ah,
watch that we're talking about, this is another hit, man. This is one of my favorite Grand Seikos. I mean, I love the snowflake. I'm just a sucker for it. I know it's everybody's favorite, but I love this watch too, man. And so tell me how you got this one.
I get similar to how I got the quartz.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, again, I saw this pop up in a video a few times. I think Warren and Wound did a video on it, and a couple of other people, and it just, that dial is beautiful.
Yeah.
And I saw it at the Seiko boutique. So they had this dial and then the limited edition blue dial with this funky pattern on it. And that the blue is nice, the limited edition one, but that dial just, again, I can't describe it,
Yeah.
but something about it so warm, and loved it. And the way the GMT was laid out, I just thought it was so elegant. Probably my dressiest of all watches. I don't know, maybe next to the Santos, but it just, loved it. And it's been it was in the back of my head for a while. Again, you rotate enough, you flip enough.
Yeah.
And I just decided, well, let me call the AD and see if he can get it, just to take another look, if anything, if he doesn't mind. And he did that, and it came in, and I just went, wow, okay. And then I ended up buying it. The strap it comes with is nice, but I think I still have the hang tags on the strap.
Yeah.
I wish it was 20 millimeters because I would have fun with that watch.
Right.
But still 19 millimeters. They're out there. And I've had it on aftermarket straps, like all different sorts of colors and all different sorts of styles. Dress it up, dress it down. But again, speaking of a watch that I'm going to wear a lot in the fall, this is it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, sure. I mean, that creamy dial, that earth tone, it's like a perfect for the
absolutely
fall. I get that. And the 19 millimeter lugs, it's a bummer, but it's not as bad as some make out. I mean, I had a an El Primero, the 38, which is a 19 millimeter lug with, and I struggled with that watch, but I did find a lot of options 19 millimeters out there. Fluco, which is they make straps, and they have tons of options at the 19 millimeter range. So it's out there, and I'm sure that. I'm sure that's not going to be a problem for you. Okay, so before I ask you what's coming up next, I have to ask you: are there any more Grand Seikos that we don't know about?
No, that's it. That's it. No, that's the last one.
Yeah, Craig G. Damn, multiple Grand Seikos. Yes, absolutely, man.
I have a problem, Craig.
Yeah. Okay, so the hits kept on coming with that. I really felt that way when you were sending me the emails of these watches. I loved it. What is next on the horizon for you? What are you looking at? Is there a couple watches you're looking at? Is there one? Are you going to flip some? Give us a little sneak peek on what to expect.
Well, to go forward, I have to flip some. Like I can't just. I wish I could, but I can't.
Yeah.
Want to own them all, but you can't.
Right.
Right now I'm in that weird phase where there's not that many I want to flip. Like for example, the Zen 104, I debated flipping about a month ago. I put it away, and I figured out of sight, out of mind, if I can forget it. And I thought I did, and then I put it on just for fun, and it stayed on my wrist for about 3 or 4 days, which for me is a miracle, because I usually rotate within the day.
Yeah.
And now I have no intentions of flipping it. So the question, I have to figure out what I want to get rid of first to make room for the next piece. As far as what I'm looking for, I wish there was one. There's so many. My brain keeps jumping. I can tell you this though. All right. So on the higher end, There's a glass shoot original. It's a square. I think it's the '70s panorama date. The
I
square.
love that watch. I love that, and on a blue dial. I love that watch.
Yes, that
That watch
that
is.
is.
I was
But
telling some
something's
guys.
got to give.
I was telling a couple guys last week that I feel like that watch is so underrated. It falls underrated. Nobody really talks about it. They're either talking
That
about the
brand is
Senator.
underrated.
Yeah, absolutely. They're either talking about the Senator line or the Panomatic line. Even the '60s. I'm not a big fan of the '60s, but that '70s. And it's probably because it's like a squarish case.
Yeah.
But I love that watch, man. I love that watch.
That is on the radar. Maybe a year from now, hopefully we'll see. But the bigger thing I'm struggling with, and this used to be a lot easier. Actually, you know what it is? It's hard until you flip the one, and then all of a sudden it gets easier to let go.
Yeah.
You know. So there's got to figure out which ones are going to go. There's a couple in my head I'm going to let go. Like for example, I just got a Manta Ocean King, and just a great watch. Love the watch. Can't handle that clasp though. Like it's hard to operate when only one hand. So that's it's a shame too because it's really a nice watch. But that's probably going to get flipped, and then who knows? We'll see. Another one here, another one there, and maybe if I can put enough aside, then the Glashütte might be the next one on the radar. I was also looking at an Omega Speedmaster, the racing chronograph, the slightly bigger with the bicompact chronograph, the white dial with the orange highlights.
Yeah,
I forget the reference, but Omega references are ridiculous. But that's a nice looking watch too. I tried that on. That was impressive. But I don't know. I keep thinking about the Glashütte. I keep thinking about that panorama date.
Yeah, it's a great brand. Black Woman Gamer, she wants to know keepers. Is there anything untouchable in your collection? Or are you, as Rob says right here, flipper for life?
A little bit of both. In my ideal world, so right now I'm at about, let's say, 16 watches, right? No, maybe more. 18, sorry. Maybe like 10 keepers, and then the other I play with.
Yeah.
I think the Explorer, and again, this can change tomorrow. I've learned that the hard way too. But the Explorer, the Speedmaster, they're not going anywhere. The Santos is most likely not going anywhere, at least not now anyway. Now, if I get the Glashütte, though, I can see maybe giving up this, maybe, just because 2 squares, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. But right now, I'm actually very content where I am. So it's hard, like in my mind, I'm wrestling with, do I want to replace or do I want to add? Like with the Willard. Did I want to flip the Willard and get the cheaper one or less expensive one, and then use that money towards something else? But now it's like, no. Same thing with the Zin. Like what am I going to get that's going to replace the Zin?
Right.
And that's getting harder now. So I'm getting to a somewhat content level, but for the most part, right now I'm steady. There's about 2 or 3 that might go. The Manta's definitely going to go.
Right.
And then I got to think about the others. But so far, at least everything I've shown you at the moment is staying.
Yeah. The good thing about the Glashütte, the '70s, if you're looking at pre-owned, those prices are coming down. Maybe not for the blue dial variant, but I saw like a whitish. It was a white dial variant on a leather strap on Crown and Caliber for like $5,000 last week.
Oh, that's not bad.
So that's not bad. I just the blue I think holds its value a little bit more.
Yeah. They also make an anthracite of that one too.
They do too. Yeah, I mean, no, that brand is killer, and that particular model and all its variations are killers too, man. I love that. Well, Homer, we're coming up to an hour. I like to schedule these things for 45 minutes. I always say that, but they always end up going an hour because we have a really good time. And I want to thank you, man. I want to thank you for taking the time, and I'm really saying pleasantly surprised means that I wasn't expecting it, but I knew from what I've heard from you or heard from other guys talking about you that you were going to bring it, and I think your collection is awesome, man.
Wow.
And when this whole world straightens out a little bit, I can't wait to meet you in person, and then maybe go to a couple ADs together and have some coffee.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I also want to thank you for taking the time. This is an honor for me to get here and talk to you and the chat with everyone. And this is awesome. I appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you, Homer. And guys, thank you for tuning in tonight and the comments. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks with another streaming of the state of the collection. Have a good night, everybody. Homer, I'll talk to you soon, man.
Take care. Thank you again.
Okay.